Welcome, fellow listeners, to Red Hunt, where I delve into the captivating and sometimes tumultuous tales of relationships shared by anonymous individuals on the vast realm of Reddit. My boyfriend invited someone else to our Valentine's date. How do I tell him it bothers me? I understand that the answer seems simple, just tell him it bothers you. But as someone who is very anxious and eager to please others, it's not as easy as it sounds. This year is our first Valentine's Day together, and I really want it to be something special. In the past, I ended a relationship with an abusive partner, which is why I tend to be anxious and avoid confrontations. I spent last Valentine's Day alone, and the one before that was awful because of my ex. My boyfriend knows all of this, and when I shared my past experiences with him, he promised to make Valentine's Day a positive memory for me. We had planned a simple hangout at his house the day before Valentine's Day, since we both have busy schedules and stereotypically strict Asian parents. It was the only day we were both free and our schedules aligned. Normally, we don't get a lot of alone time together outside of school, because our friends and classmates usually hang out with us. Additionally, due to our busy schedules, we're currently preparing for university, we don't have much time to plan proper dates. However, to keep it short, he suggested inviting a mutual friend, an 18-year-old female, to hang out with us on Valentine's Day. Initially, I thought it was fine and agreed because I believed I would have plenty of time alone with him before our mutual friend joined us. However, today he revealed his plan. His dad would leave the house at 12:30, and I could come over and spend 2 hours with him before our mutual friend arrived at 2 p.m. I hadn't realized that I would be spending such a short amount of time alone with him on a day that I thought was meant for the two of us. Perhaps that was a miscommunication on my part. Since I don't get much alone time with him, I really wanted the day to be just for us, although I feel guilty for wanting that. When he shared his plan over the phone, I made an excuse to end the call and then started crying, which may sound dramatic, but I can't help it. Why did he have to invite her? He already asked her to join us. It's a terrible thought, but I wonder if there's even a point in going anymore. I didn't want to hang out as a trio or with a whole group. I just wanted to be with him. I know that when the day comes I'll probably enjoy myself, but it has ruined Valentine's Day for me and turned it into another gathering with friends. How can I communicate to him that this upsets me without coming across as clingy or needy? I want to learn how to express my feelings in a healthier manner. Hey, it sounds like you're feeling disappointed and anxious about your Valentine's Day plans with your boyfriend. It's totally understandable that you wanted the day to be just for the two of you, especially after your past experiences. You can express your concerns to him by calmly explaining that you were looking forward to some alone time and wanted to make the day special for the both of you. Communication is key in a relationship, and finding a way to express your feelings in a healthy and understanding manner can help strengthen your bond. Am I the antagonist for telling my boyfriend that he doesn't need to call an ambulance? My boyfriend and I have been together for 8 years. He suffers from anxiety and panic attacks, which worsened after he contracted COVID-19. He had a chronic illness as a child, and his family works in healthcare. Today he tried a new medication for ADHD. Initially he felt good and more focused, so he called his family to talk about it. Unfortunately, one of his siblings is currently dealing with a lot of anxiety and hypochondria, which stressed my boyfriend out. I could hear him getting worked up on the phone. After about 2 hours, when the ADHD medication was at its peak, he started feeling tired and began sweating due to all the talking. He realized he hadn't eaten or drunk anything since breakfast, and it was now afternoon. Anxiety kicked in, so he took some anxiety medication. However, it didn't take effect immediately, and he felt chest tightness, prompting him to call his mom in panic. I tried to help by giving him some water and encouraging him to lie down and breathe. He became scared that the new meds were having a severe negative effect. He expressed the urge to call 911. But I reassured him it wasn't necessary since it didn't seem life-threatening. He has experienced panic attacks before, and they usually end up being nothing serious. Last year alone, he went to the ER and had to be transported in an ambulance 3 or 4 times for the same issue. Nevertheless, he dialed 911 and the EMTs arrived. I informed them that he was having a panic attack. His symptoms seemed to worsen as he hyperventilated, complained of tense muscles, and experienced fuzzy vision. At the hospital, the doctor conducted some tests and a chest x-ray, but found nothing wrong, concluding it was indeed a panic attack. They discharged him, and we went home. I feel exhausted because today has been stressful, with his discussions about his family and his siblings' situation, and now this incident. I sensed that his siblings' situation could have triggered the panic attack. Later, my boyfriend and I talked, and he still believes there must be something else going on, and that I dismissively labeled it as just anxiety. I simply shared what I believed was happening, considering his recent stress and the new medication's effects. He continuously finds conflicting information online, suggesting it could be something other than a panic attack, despite being assured by medical professionals that he's healthy. He gets upset when I remind him that he can get through it, and that he isn't truly dying, as I don't personally experience panic attacks of that magnitude. He believes this time could have been different and not just a panic attack. So, am I the asshole for not validating his symptoms? He's upset because he thinks I don't understand, and he genuinely felt like he was on the verge of death. Honestly, he's right. I don't have panic attacks like that. However, I still believe he can overcome them, and they aren't indicative of a life-threatening condition. Does this make me the asshole? It's understandable that your boyfriend is scared and wants validation for his symptoms, but it sounds like you were trying to support him and explain what you thought was happening based on his history. It's important to remember that you can't fully understand his experience, but that doesn't make you an asshole for trying to help and reassure him. My dad wants me to take care of his stuff while he is in jail. How do I tell him that I don't want to do this anymore and I am leaving? My dad got into trouble. I don't know all the details, but I understand he was stealing a bunch of money from his clients. He was a lawyer but had to give up his license when it all broke open. I was living with him at the time. I could talk a lot about our relationship, but the short version is that our relationship is pretty strained, and I'm not very surprised he was doing something shady. A little while ago, after he got arrested but before he went into jail, he sat down with me and told me he was expecting to have to go to jail for about 2 years. He told me that while he is gone, he needs me to stay here and take care of the house and stuff. I told him then that I was planning on moving out after I graduate high school in May, but he asked me to stay for a couple extra years because he really needs someone to take care of the house and the car while he is gone. He promised I can leave when he gets out and takes his house back, and he promised he would pay me for it after he gets released. In the end, he got 40 months, so a little over 3 years, and he is in a federal prison, so my understanding is he has to stay in for almost the whole sentence before he can get an early release or parole. It's been a few weeks since he went in, and I have been getting angrier and angrier at the situation. I told him I would take care of all of his things because I didn't know what else to do when he had me on the spot, but I don't think I want to. It makes me angry that he wants me to stay in this house in this town for 3 extra years all because he committed a crime. So anyway, I decided I am leaving. One of my friends' families told me the other day that I can stay with them for the rest of the school year and the summer after. I'm getting all of my things out of my dad's house and I'm planning on leaving for the last time on Friday. And after I graduate, I plan on leaving town and not coming back. But I haven't told my dad yet. I'm angry at him and we didn't get along real well even before he went to jail, but I do have some sympathy. I don't know what is going to happen to his house or his car or all of his things inside when I leave. And I am also kind of over it all and don't really care anymore. I don't want to make his life any worse than it already is, but I think it was really unfair for him to ask me to do that for him. I know I need to tell him. I'd prefer to do it in person, but I don't know what the rules are on visiting someone in prison, and I don't know if I even can. So it may have to be whenever he calls again. How do I tell him that I'm leaving, and I'm not going to take care of his things? The whole situation is stressing me out, and I just can't deal with it anymore. I don't want to take care of a house all by myself, or a car that isn't mine. I don't even know how. Like, I know property taxes are a thing, and I know you have to pay them, but I don't know how much they are or how you even go about paying them. I just can't do this, and I don't want to spend the rest of my teenage years trying to figure it out. How do I tell my dad that I'm leaving all his things, and I don't really care anymore what happens to it? Hey, it sounds like a really tough predicament you're in. It's completely understandable that you're feeling angry and overwhelmed by the situation, especially given the strained relationship with your dad. If I were in your shoes, I'd suggest finding a way to have an honest conversation with him, whether it's in person or over the phone, to let him know your decision and how you're feeling. It's important to prioritize your own well-being and future plans, even if it means letting go of the responsibility of taking care of his stuff. Am I the antagonist for kicking my little sister out of my apartment? I, a 37-year-old woman, allowed my 34-year-old younger sister and her children to stay in my apartment without paying rent while I was living at my now ex-boyfriend's house in 2022. I had been away from home for a few months due to my relationship and work. When I returned home one day, I discovered that my apartment had been turned into a storage unit by my sister and her family. They had placed metal tool cabinets in my small dining kitchen area, boxes and totes in my living room, clothes scattered throughout the living room, a full-length mirror hot glued to the wall in my bedroom, a hammock swing hanging from my bedroom ceiling, and all 3 of her children cramped in one room while she occupied another. It's worth noting that my sister is a smoker, both cigarettes and marijuana, which I don't mind, but I prefer not to have it in my apartment. I pay $750 in rent and utilities. I had been trying to make my apartment a home for myself and my child. We have joint custody. So I had been purchasing new things, like matching porcelain bathroom decor and a brand new comforter bed set, before my sister and her family moved in. While walking through the apartment with my sister, which felt like maneuvering through a game of Tetris due to the clutter, I discovered that her kids had broken the tips off my brand new kitchen knives, broken the soap dispenser in the bathroom, and my sister claimed that my dryer overheated and melted my new comforter. I had suspicions about this because I could smell cigarette and pot smoke in my bedroom. Ultimately, I concluded that she intentionally damaged my comforter and tried to hide it. Furthermore, my neighbors informed me that they had witnessed multiple people coming and going from my apartment at all hours, and my sister would often leave the door unlocked and open for everyone to see. They also mentioned that she wasn't paying attention to her youngest child while they were playing outside. Needless to say, I reached a breaking point and told my sister that if she wanted to continue living there, she would have to take over the lease while I moved out. She refused and called me childish, telling me to leave her alone. Therefore, I made the decision to kick her out. She found a new person to live with, but her kids were not aware of it as they were with their father at the time, ensuring that they wouldn't end up homeless. When I informed my sister of this and gave her a few days to collect her belongings and leave, she responded by cursing at me and calling me a prostitute and a drug addict. I have never engaged in prostitution or done drugs. A health and drug class in 7th grade scared me. I stayed to make sure she gathered her things, despite her trying to hide in my son's room, and I recorded the entire incident on my phone. Moving to the present, my sister refuses to talk to me. Even though we have a tradition of exchanging flowers on birthdays since our mother passed away many years ago, she remained completely silent this year. I didn't even receive a Merry Christmas from her, although I wished her one. She blames me for not succumbing to her wishes as I have often done throughout our lives. Am I the asshole for refusing to give in to her demands? Your sister clearly overstepped boundaries by turning your apartment into a storage unit and allowing her kids to damage your belongings. Asking her to leave was the right decision, and it's understandable that you're hurt by her reaction. My fiance keeps saying hurtful things about my body. I feel like I'm going crazy. How can I get him to stop? My 28-year-old fiance has been repeatedly saying hurtful things about my body. He has made negative comments about my weight, my intimate areas, and my hobbies. When I express how hurtful his words are, he dismisses them by claiming he didn't mean it like that, denies saying those things, or argues that it doesn't count if I say something negative about myself first and he agrees. We have been together for 7 years now. During this time, I have gained around 12 pounds, but as I am 5'9" tall, the difference is hardly noticeable. A few weeks ago, he remarked that he noticed I had gained weight, specifically in my stomach. It hurt me deeply. He noticed I was upset and suggested going for a walk together to cheer me up. In response, I decided to go on a diet. I have been eating only one small meal per day and constantly feel hungry. However, the hurtful comments have not stopped. Last night, I was excited about something and made a joke saying, "I'm gonna wet my little pants," to which he replied, "Don't you mean your big pants?" I am already doing my best to lose weight, and his comment doesn't help. His friends have said that I look young, healthy, and good. These hurtful remarks only come from my fiancé. Last week I got him Arby's. While joking about roast beef with his friends, one of them asked if people really get upset about the appearance of intimate areas. I responded that men do indeed get upset if an intimate area is not to their liking. My fiancé dislikes mine, even when it is freshly showered. He only cares about how it feels to him. This turned into a discussion and poll among the men we know about whether they like it or simply like how it feels. My fiancé claimed that he 100% likes it. When I asked why he had lied previously, he denied it, despite complaining about it in the past to me. For more information, you can check my post history. However, he dislikes the smell, taste, and appearance. I am hygienic, and my gynecologist says everything is normal without any issues. Additionally, I do not have prominent inner labia. Personally, I think it looks cute. Then he suggested that the problem is probably just me, and that I could improve the situation by eating more fruit and drinking more water. He has also been making mean comments about my hobbies, saying they are simple or that the things I use are stupid. I am genuinely trying to improve my skills in these hobbies. I understand that these hurtful comments may be meant to motivate me to improve myself, but they are not helping. How can I make him understand that these remarks are hurtful rather than helpful? They are damaging my self-image and making me constantly question myself. He denies saying any of these things, and if he did, he claims he didn't mean them that way. When I ask why he says such hurtful things, he responds with, "Because I'm just an asshole," which only makes me feel worse because then he feels guilty. I would greatly appreciate any advice on how to stop these hurtful comments, or how to improve myself so that he no longer feels the need to say these things. It sounds like your fiancé is being incredibly insensitive and disrespectful towards you. No one should ever make you feel bad about yourself or constantly criticize your body and hobbies. Have a serious conversation with him about how these comments are hurting you, and if he doesn't listen or change his behavior, it might be time to reconsider this relationship. My boyfriend has many priorities, but I seem to not be on that list. I, a 23-year-old female, have been in a medium-distance relationship with my boyfriend, a 22-year-old male, for over a year now. We live about 3 hours apart, and both work full-time. This has never been a serious issue before, since we make sure to meet up at least once a week if possible. If not, we communicate through calls and messages regularly throughout the day. Both of us are seen as a perfect match, and we ourselves have acknowledged how well we fit together multiple times. However, my boyfriend has a tendency to become consumed by his interests, particularly his work and hobbies. He works in the field of it and often spends his free time working on coding projects, even after his regular job, which frequently requires overtime. Because he works from home, he isolates himself during these periods to concentrate on his new projects. We have experienced this situation before, resulting in a major argument and weeks of no communication until he sincerely apologized and promised to address the issue. I appreciate his passion for his job and hobbies, but I become genuinely worried when he disappears for days without a single message. When we do manage to meet up, which is now only once a month at best, Everything feels great again, and for the next 2 to 3 days, he sends me messages expressing how much he enjoyed our time together and how much he misses me already. However, it's as if a switch is flipped afterwards, and he vanishes for days once more. I don't know what to do. I have spoken to him about this multiple times, and each time he apologizes for his behavior, tries to maintain better contact with me, but fails after a few days. This is not how he typically behaves, but at this point, I feel incredibly disheartened whenever I initiate conversations, ask about his well-being, or inquire about meeting up. It feels like unrequited love, regardless of his attempts to make amends or assurances of love when these phases pass. It seems as though he completely forgets about my existence during these times. Despite distancing himself from everyone in his life, I sense that I am the least important priority to him. He still responds to messages from his friends, but often ignores or dismisses mine with a quick apology, assuming I will understand his situation. However, he does not seem to comprehend my perspective. To summarize, my boyfriend tends to immerse himself in work, neglecting his health, social life, and even disregarding me during these periods. I would sincerely appreciate advice on how to handle this situation and would value your opinions. It sounds like your boyfriend's intense focus on his work and hobbies is causing strain in your relationship, which is understandable. It's important to have open and honest communication with him about how his behavior makes you feel and set boundaries that work for both of you. Ultimately, finding a balance between his passions and your needs will be crucial for the success of your relationship. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.